Thanks so much for joining us for CBN News Today. I'm Ephraim Graham. Some wild weather made for a messy Mother's Day across the West and Midwest, and we are talking several extremes. Residents cleaning up after springtime snowstorms in one area and destructive tornadoes in another. And then there is also extreme heat. This doesn't look like spring. Powerful snowstorms dumping more than a foot of sloppy snow across Colorado and Wyoming, and unleashing havoc on highways in Utah. Today, dozens of snowplows are out in Denver, fighting back as the storm continues. The Midwest saw an even more dangerous Mother's Day weekend, with at least 11 tornadoes touching down in Nebraska, Kansas, and Missouri. One of them leveled small-town Orick, Missouri, where residents hadn't seen a twister in nearly a half-century.
Orick has been blessed for many years, and so I guess it was our turn. It's been tough. We've all been kind of in shock. I mean, you know, when this happens, it's always, you don't expect it to happen to you.
Other parts of the country are experiencing a bit of a heat wave, but even that is intense for some. Like California, where the warmth is also bringing powerful, damaging winds that toppled trees and crushed cars.
The anger, then the crying, and now it's just, we're blessed though, because we have good homeowners insurance, we have good car insurance.
Temperatures are expected to be sweltering across Southern California and could reach near triple digits this week. But that, along with whipping winds and dry conditions, are creating a high fire danger. While the heat continues in California and the snowstorms in Colorado, in the Midwest, large hail and strong winds are expected in Kansas, and a tornado watch was issued for parts of Oklahoma. An estimated 75 confirmed tornadoes ravaged southern states 2 weeks ago. Louisville, Mississippi was one of the hardest hit. Hundreds of families are struggling to put their homes and lives back together, and they've been given a little help from a ministry that fills hearts as well as stomachs. Mark Martin has the story.
Officials call it the most active tornado day in Mississippi's history. 185-mile-an-hour winds swept through communities, demolishing everything in their path and killing 14 people, including 8-year-old Tyler Tucker. His parents' bodies were found blown into a wooded area half a mile from their home. Entire communities are grieving.
And it's like a war zone. Everything's gone. It makes you realize what's important.
But in their darkest hour, hope is shining through in the love and compassion shown by Mercy Chefs and the local church.
This is what faith in action looks like.
Since the tornadoes hit, Mercy Chefs has fed thousands of meals to residents of Louisville, and they just brought in resources to staff another feeding site at East Louisville Baptist Church.
This gives us a great opportunity to just join with these other servants who have come from so far away.
These people are just amazing. Their concern, even in their great loss, is about their neighbors and their neighbors' loss. They're not sitting around singing, poor, poor me. They really are trying to help and to be proactive and move forward.
Mercy Chefs plans to stay as long as there is a need to feed those devastated by the disaster.
It's just an amazing thing to see the strength of rural America.
That's the unbreakable spirit of a community committed to each other in the hardest of times. Mark Martin, CBN News.
The Arkansas Attorney General is going to appeal a county judge's ruling that overturned the state's gay marriage ban. In 2004, voters approved a state constitutional marriage amendment. But last week, Judge Chris Piazza overturned the ban, and several county clerks were left confused over whether the ruling was valid. One clerk said only the state Supreme Court can strike down a state law, and she will not issue licenses until that happens. 15 gay marriage licenses were issued in one county. David Benham says a smear campaign was run against him and his brother. He told Deadline.com that they were told by someone in a high place that he and his brother had an image problem due to that smear campaign. The cable network HGTV canceled the Christian brothers' upcoming real estate show last Wednesday after a report about one of the brothers' activities against same-sex marriage and abortion. David says HGTV made a decision based on one tiny segment of our culture. And had they heard from the rest of the culture, I think it would have been different. At this point, it's over. Deadline also reports Benham told CNN he loves gays, but he hates the gay agenda that tries to silence people of faith. Craig James of the Family Research Council was fired from Fox Sports for voicing his own views on marriage. He told us via Skype that the left is now refusing to tolerate traditional views on marriage.
We can't have our beliefs. They want us to be quiet. And so we need to have as many folks or more stand up, and when the Benham boys are discriminated against, when they're punished for their belief, HGTV and other employers need to say, hey, wait a minute, it's okay for them to have that belief. Matter of fact, there are a whole lot of people in this country who believe like they do. They shouldn't be fired, or they shouldn't be abandoned because of that.
You can catch the rest of that interview at cbnnews.com. There is growing outrage over alleged corruption and avoidable deaths at a veterans hospital in Phoenix. And now reports of falsified records at other VA clinics and hospitals are surfacing. The VA secretary has called for a nationwide audit of access to care. But as Heather Sells reports, there are growing calls for Secretary Eric Shinseki to step down.
Purple Heart recipient Ralph Nicastro died after waiting 15 months to see a specialist at the VA hospital in Phoenix. The concern, a lump on his neck. Nicastro wasn't alone. Some 40 veterans in Phoenix have also died while waiting to see a doctor, and their family members want to know why.
Why can't our federal government and the VA do this for our fighting soldiers that have given their arms, their sight, their legs, and their life for this country? It failed them, and it's still failing thousands of them.
There's also concern over allegations that the VA hospital in Phoenix tried to hide access to delay by creating a secret list of patients who were waiting for their appointments. It's why a House committee has issued a rare subpoena to Veterans Affairs Secretary Eric Shinseki. It wants to see emails in which Shinseki and other officials may have discussed destruction of the so-called secret list.
The last few weeks have been a model of VA stonewalling, which precipitated the need for this subpoena.
And the problems aren't limited to Phoenix. The VA has acknowledged that in recent years, 23 patients have died as a result of delayed care. And its medical inspector says a Colorado clinic falsified appointment records just last year. As reports of problems at other VA medical facilities have begun to surface, Secretary Shinseki is promising investigations at every VA clinic and hospital.
The question we have is, what's next? Are there other VA facilities that are having this problem where people are allegedly cooking the books?
Some veterans groups say they've lost confidence in the VA, and the American Legion has already called for the resignation of Shinseki. The VA has struggled for years to manage backlog and excessive delays in treatment. But with these latest reports that link the delays to deaths and false records, a major political storm is brewing. It's a storm that could cast clouds on several Senate races this fall, and one that won't likely end until veterans and their families get some answers. Heather Sells, CBN News.
The highest court in Massachusetts unanimously voted to protect the phrase "under God" in the Pledge of Allegiance. A spokesman for the Becket Fund for Religious Liberty said, quote, "The court affirmed what should have been obvious. God is not a dirty word." The American Humanist Association had sued to overturn the pledge, arguing that the words were unconstitutional. School children and their parents defended the phrase against the atheist group. This is the fourth time the Becket Fund law firm has defended the phrase in court and won. Public officials at a suburban Maryland county have reinstated Christian prayer at their public meetings, even though their policy is still in legal limbo. All 5 members of the Carroll County Board of Commissioners voted Thursday to revert to a disputed prayer policy. The decision was made after a Supreme Court ruling affirmed Christian prayers at government meetings. Opponents still believe the commissioners' prayers are unconstitutional because they're not clergy, rather elected public officials. One of the commissioners, who is also an attorney, acknowledged the Supreme Court ruling didn't necessarily affirm the county's practice, but says as long as we're not proselytizing or denigrating, that is not a violation. Well, still to come, in some parts of the world, it is dangerous to be white. The people in this video are being attacked because of the color of their skin. Find out where this is happening and why.
Millions of Americans with an ostomy live their lives to the fullest every day. And over the last 10 years, thousands have chosen Liberator Medical as their caring and reliable resource for ostomy supplies. Liberator Medical is a nationally accredited Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance provider, so we can handle all your Medicare, Medicaid, and insurance paperwork and billing. And Liberator Medical has been chosen as a preferred supplier by all the leading ostomy manufacturers, including Coloplast, Hollister, Convatec, and Generics. We supply all these leading ostomy brands, so you can always get the ostomy supplies and accessories you want and trust. And all of our ostomy care specialists are product certified by the manufacturers. Shipping is free and discreetly delivered right to your door. Unhappy with your present ostomy supplier? Call Liberator Medical and ask about our free ostomy sampling program. We also offer catheters and urological supplies.
Call 1-800-513-3076. That's 1-800-513-3076.
Pat Boone here with some good news you can trust. Today, our faith, families, and our freedoms are under attack. Polls say 2 out of 3 Americans no longer trust government. A stalled economy, weakening dollar, and politicians willing to steal money from our children to waste on unfixable problems. So, whom can you trust? Well, our money still says in God we trust. But do we? Or have we quietly allowed the things we hold sacred to be stolen by the enemies of traditional values? Today, our government spends almost twice its income, running up a tab for future generations into the hundreds of trillions. How can you stop this from happening to your family? Well, it's all covered in a fantastic new book, The Great Withdrawal by Craig Smith and Dr. Lowell Ponte. Every American needs to read this book. Why don't you call now for a free copy of The Great Withdrawal? It's the simple truth you can trust.
Pro-Russian separatists in eastern Ukraine are calling this weekend's referendum a victory. The organizers say about 90% of those who voted in the Donetsk and Luhansk regions voted for sovereignty. But with no international election monitors in place, it was not possible to verify the claims. Separatists say the ultimate status of the region could include secession or annexation by Russia. Both the Ukrainian government and the West have rejected the referendums as illegal. Imagine feeling threatened walking on the streets of your own city if your skin is white. In parts of France, that scenario is all too real. That's because of a growing number of attacks on the native French in territory controlled by Muslims. Dale Hurd brings us this shocking report from Paris.
White French being beaten up by predominantly Muslim immigrant gangs. Violent crime can happen anywhere and to anyone, and for many reasons. But in parts of France, it has become especially dangerous to be white.
There are parts of France where the native French are no longer welcome. Muslim immigrants consider it their territory, and whites enter at their own risk.
The French call them sensitive urban zones. They're no-go zones where the police don't enter or don't enforce the law. They're little Muslim caliphates inside the borders of France.
And it's like that because these parts of the country are in the hands of drug traffickers, gangs, and imams.
This French report says almost 1 in 5 Frenchmen have been victims of racist insults or worse. A few cases have even gone to trial.
Some of those who launch racist attacks on whites use Islam as the reason they do it. They may not even speak Arabic, but they still use Islam as a flag.
Tariq Yildiz, a French sociologist, has written the book Anti-White Racism. Yildiz is not native French, but is the son of Turkish immigrants.
My book is viewed as politically incorrect and breaks a taboo, the idea that immigrants could oppress whites.
It's a reality for this Frenchman named Max. He's been attacked more than once by immigrants and still has a bruise under one eye from the latest attack. Max sports an American accent after living in the U.S., but he's French and has joined Generation Identitaire, a youth movement united around the defense of French culture and white French identity.
Well, basically, we're a youth movement that aims to promote, preserve, and protect our local, national, and European identities.
This video shows Generation Identitaire members training for self-defense.
Well, we encourage all our members and militants to keep a certain level of physical fitness Self-defense is a part of it, obviously.
As the French left's grand experiment in multiculturalism goes up in flames, some quarters of French society are dividing into tribalism and ethnic identity. Pierre Cassen and Christine Tesson are anti-Islamization activists.
The French people are increasingly living in fear. They fear the imposition of Islamic law and the organized violence against any French person, including the police.
More and more Islamists threaten riots, assault, and try to impose Sharia. They attack the police. The Republic is in danger.
This French news report shows Generation Identitaire members out on a security patrol. Yildiz says by ignoring the problem of immigrant attacks on whites, the French establishment and media are only helping to ensure that more whites will seek out groups like Generation Identitaire for protection.
If the state will not punish these people and the media will not talk about it, the victims will get increasingly frustrated and could become racist, and then we will have a confrontation.
Not only is the problem being ignored, the French left and many mayors actively promote the growth and spread of sectarian Islam, for good reason. Muslims have become an important constituency of the left. 90% voted for Socialist President Hollande in the last election. Former Muslim Pascal Halout wanted to show us the mosque in the Paris district of Barbès that the mayor's office is paying to renovate. The name of the mosque is in Arabic, so perhaps the French don't realize they're paying to renovate a mosque named Conquest.
So this is like another country inside France, yeah?
Yeah, the liberalization or Balkanization of France is beginning already with the help of the state of France.
Lebanon. It's a word some use to describe France's future as a nation divided and engulfed in sectarian conflict. Halout believes, as do many experts, that the French left's experiment with Islam is going to backfire badly.
The French feel outnumbered, outmaneuvered, and in the minority. If things continue at this rate, we will have the same situation as in Kosovo or Lebanon, civil war.
Dale Hurd, CBN News, Paris.
Up next, the divorce deception, a look at why more and more marriages are lasting longer. We'll bust a huge marriage myth after this.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need, just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions, just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card, just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
A new study from Brown University suggests divorce could be contagious. Findings show if a friend or loved one gets a divorce, that raises your chances. Researchers conducted this study in Massachusetts. They discovered 75% of participants were more likely to end their marriage if a friend was divorced. 33% were more likely to divorce even if that happened to a friend of a friend. Researchers call it social contagion. That's the spread of attitudes and behaviors through friends, family, and social networks. Well, everyone knows that half of all marriages end in divorce, but there's one problem. It is not true. In fact, the divorce rate in America has been going down. Paul Strand has this look at the myths about divorce and the reality of successful marriages in America.
Harvard-trained researcher Shanti Feldhahn works with her husband Jeff to help people with their marriages and relationships. At one point, this Atlanta-based couple believed and shared information that most marriages are unhappy, and 50% of them end in divorce, even in the church.
I didn't know. I've stood up on stage and said every one of these wrong statistics.
Then 8 years ago, Shanti asked her assistant for specific research on divorce for an article she was writing. Neither of them could find any real numbers, and that kicked off a personal and long crusade to find the truth. And it was a revelation, as she reveals in her book, The Good News About Marriage.
First-time marriages, probably about 20 to 25% have ended in divorce on average. Now, okay, that's still too high, right? But it's a whole lot better than what people think it is.
Shanti and Jeff point out the 50% figure came from projections of what researchers thought the divorce rate would become.
But the divorce rate has been dropping. We've never hit those numbers. We've never gotten close.
So imagine the implications of this. Half of marriages do not end in divorce. They never have. So the chances of yours making it aren't a measly 50-50. They're more like 70, 75, 80%. That can give couples a lot of hope. And hope is often the fuel a marriage needs to survive and even thrive. Shanti says hopelessness itself can actually lead to divorce.
That sense of futility itself pulls down marriages. And the problem is we have this culture-wide feeling of futility about marriage.
Christian psychotherapist Angel Davis agrees.
The Bible says hope deferred, it makes our heart sick. And we are so influenced by numbers and by culture.
And it's based on all these discouraging beliefs that many of them just aren't true.
Jeff Feldhahn says anytime he tells people about his wife's findings, they're stunned.
Their mouth drops open and they're just shocked because they go, I can't believe I believed this all these years. And I've heard it so many times. And I've heard it from the pulpit so many times.
This is a great chance to stand up and say, we were all fooled, not anymore.
To that end, Shanti's been working to spread this news to pastors and other leaders as fast as she can. It totally changed Virginia pastor Daniel Floyd's counseling because he had bought into fictional research.
I told her, I said, I've said this, I've taught this.
He's sure it will change a generation of marriage counseling.
I think it's significant and could change the conversation from one that is, wow, it's just the way it is, and half of you are going to make it, half of you are not, and change the conversation to know historically, overwhelming majority have made it, and you can make it.
We know in psychology that what you believe affects how you feel, and then it leads to actions. So when other people are accomplishing something we think is hopeless, it gives us hope. And then we start feeling different and then start acting different.
Shanti says a majority of us believe only about 30% of marriages are happy.
Most people think most marriages are just kind of just kind of rolling along. And they're shocked when I tell them that the actual average is 80%. 80% of marriages are happy.
Not knowing that often leads couples to avoid marriage and just shack up instead.
Like, if I'm just going to get divorced and I'm not going to be happy, why bother getting married, right? And it's based on a lie. That feeling is based on a lie.
Pastor Floyd says these new facts can be a game changer.
I think really helps people in the challenging moments to say, if I'll just stick with it, then there's a good chance I'm going to make it the distance.
With hope, you feel that you can make it through, even though you're in a tough patch.
And Shanti agrees the numbers prove most of the unhappily married can turn it around.
The studies show that if they stay married for 5 years, that almost 80% of those will be happy 5 years later.
The good news about marriage reveals more, like the fact the divorce rate among those active in their church is 27 to 50% lower than among non-churchgoers. Shanti's hope is that once people learn the truth, that they will spread it far and wide.
We need to change the paradigm of how we think and talk about marriage, from marriage being in trouble and all this discouraging stuff to saying, no, wait. Most marriages are strong and happy for a lifetime. That makes a total difference to a couple's feeling that, you know what, most people get through this and we can too.
Paul Strand, CBN News, reporting from Atlanta.
Do you have an idea for an invention or a new product? Brian and Alice Jagosh, the inventors of the halftime drill driver, did. They invented a power drill attachment that lets you drill, flip, and drive in seconds. Brian and Alice licensed their invention to the company that brought you the Snuggie, and it's now selling in major retailers nationwide. Look for the Invent Help caveman on the package. If you have an invention that you would like to try to patent and submit to companies for possible review and want free information on how Invent Help may be able to assist you, call now. Invent Help is America's largest inventor service company with sales offices in more than 60 cities nationwide. Call Invent Help today for free information. Our clients made a financial gain with their invention, but this is just their individual result. Brian and Alice's experience is not typical, as only a very small number of inventions are licensed or sold in stores.
For your free inventors information, call 1-800-559-8567. That's 1-800-559-8567.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real, naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
And finally today, CBN helped sponsor a huge Christian music festival here in Virginia Beach this weekend with more than 5,000 people attending. The festival featured a variety of artists from Chris August to Switchfoot. CBN paired up with Sunrise Ministries to create the event. And Superbook, Orphan's Promise, CBN Radio, and Praise.com were all on the scene.
The reason why my heart was to have it at the beach, when I was at the 50th anniversary for CBN, Dr. Pat Robertson was referencing the First Colony Cross right here at Cape Henry Shores, and I thought, that's it, Lord, that's where you want to have a big, huge Christian music festival to celebrate him, the Lord Jesus Christ.
CBN gave away prizes to concert goers. Gizmo, the mascot, was on hand to give out DVDs of our animated television series, Superbook. The event closed out with a Mother's Day sunrise service on Sunday morning. Beautiful weekend indeed. Well, that is going to do it now for CBN News Today. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. And be sure to tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do it on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Hope you'll join us again right here next time. Make it a marvelous Monday, everybody.
Inside every child is a hero, a leader, a friend to others, someone who helps out, who does the right thing, who dreams of what they can be, but they still need our help.
What should I do? What should I say? How should I feel?
That's where Superbook comes in. It provides moral and spiritual truths through situations children can relate to, teaching God's Word to the children you love. Join the Superbook DVD Club and receive Superbook's newest episodes as they're available, plus 2 copies to share with others, all for your gift of only $25. Get Superbook today and watch the miracles happen.
Every day, people are connecting on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Now you can be part of the conversation and connect on topics you care about through 700 Club Interactive. Log on to Facebook, Twitter, or go to YouTube and share your opinions, your prayer requests, and your videos while making friends in our community.
Well, welcome to the show.
Join the conversation on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. 700 Club Interactive. Be a part of the show.